In this video we're going to look at how we find the shorter side in a right angle triangle, so the side which is not the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle. So in this example, we're going to look at this first example. It says find the length of the missing side, and you've got your 8 centimeters is your hypotenuse, you've got 6 as one of your other sides. The other side that we're trying to find, then I'm just going to start off by calling it x. Now write down Pythagoras Theorem. Pythagoras Theorem says c squared equals a squared plus b squared. That's where c is the hypotenuse. So my way of doing this is to write, always start with your hypotenuse. So your hypotenuse is 8. So 8 squared is equal to, and I'm just going to write down x squared plus 6 squared. So 8 squared is equal to x squared plus 6 squared, and then we'll just work this out. So 8 squared is 64, that's 8 times 8, is equal to x squared. 6 squared is 36. So it is just an equation from here on in. So you want to end up getting x on its own, but you've got to bring the 36 across first. So 64 minus the 36 is equal to x squared. And if you do that, you're going to get 28 is equal to x squared. I'm just going to write that again, except I'm just going to write the x squared first. So x squared is equal to 28. If you know x squared is equal to 28, x is just going to equal to the square root of 28. Okay, it hasn't worked out nicely. It's not a nice square number. So I'm going to give my answer to 2 decimal places. So the square root of 28 to 2 decimal places is 5.29 centimeters. And always write down what degree of accuracy you've given it to. So I was 2 decimal places, so brackets 2dp. Okay, second example we have 82 is our hypotenuse. You can see it's opposite the diagonal. So I'm just going to write down my Pythagoras Theorem again. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. So in this case, 82 squared is equal to x squared plus 80 squared. And then we'll just work on with that. So if you square 82, you'll get 6724 is equal to x squared plus 80 squared is 6400. And then if we just bring this 6400 across, you'll have 6724 minus 6400 is equal to your x squared, which means 324 is equal to x squared. And again, we'll just do the same as we did last time. We'll just write down my x squared first. So x squared equals 324. How you would get your x is to the square root of 324. So your x works out to be, and this is actually a nice one, works out to be 18, bang on 18, so 18 millimeters. Okay, in this next example, this is more a problem type question where you've got to find your missing side x. We're going to use Pythagoras Theorem to do this. Now we've got this is what we start with. We've got this big triangle. The hypotenuse of the big triangle is 65. We have a smaller triangle. The hypotenuse of the smaller triangle is x. 11 is the base of the smaller triangle, but the base of the bigger triangle is 11 plus the 14. So we're going to redraw the whole big triangle as one triangle, and then the whole small triangle as one triangle. So just have to piece this together. So for your big triangle, it was 65 was the hypotenuse on the right and my right angle. My base is this whole length here, so the whole base is 25, and I'm going to need to find this missing height y to be able to find my x in my next triangle. I'm going to label my smaller triangle as well. It was x, that was 11, and this vertical bit here would be the same as your y. So that's why we need to find y first to be able to allow us to find the x. So for this triangle, for the first one, the bigger triangle, we'll have 65 squared is equal to y squared plus 25 squared. And we'll just work with that. 65 squared is 4225 is equal to y squared, and 25 squared is 625. And then we have 4225 minus 625 is equal to y squared. A wee bit of working out, y squared is equal to 3600, which means y is equal to the square root of 3600. So y is equal to just 60. Right, we are now able to label the rest of our smaller triangle. We know that this side is 60, so I always put that in a circle because to show that I've worked that out from earlier on. So that's 60, I've worked it out from earlier on. we're now ready to go. And in this case, x is the hypotenuse, so we'll start with it. X squared is equal to 60 squared, which we've just worked out, plus 11 squared, which means x squared is equal to, that is going to be 3,600 plus 121. So x squared is equal to 3,721, which means x is equal to the square root of 3,721. I'm working across the page, and that gives me, I'll just check that, square root of 3,721. That gives me bang on 61. So that's a lovely answer for this one. And you put the units in now at this stage, centimeters, and that's it. Okay, our last example says a man has a ladder 240 centimeters long. He places it against a wall. For safety, the bottom of the ladder must be 95 centimeters from the base of the wall. How high up the wall will the ladder reach? So it's a right angle triangle problem, still Pythagoras Theorem problem. And this is going to be the length of your ladder. So this is going to be 240 centimeters. This is the base of your ladder to your wall, if you can imagine. That's going to be 95 centimeters. And then what we want to find is this dimension, which is the height. So I'm going to label this x. So first of all, draw yourself a right angle triangle. Don't try and do it without drawing a diagram. Draw a diagram and then label your diagram so you can see what we're trying to find. Okay, write down Pythagoras Theorem just to keep us right. C squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c is your hypotenuse. In this case, your hypotenuse is the angle, or always your hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. So in this case, it's 240. So 240 squared is equal to x squared plus 95 squared, and then we'll go with this. So 240 squared gives you 57600 is equal to x squared. 95 squared gives you 9025, and work on with this. So 57600 minus 9025 is equal to x squared, which gives you 48575 is equal to x squared. And then just finish this off, write your x squared first. X squared is equal to 48575, which means x itself is the square root of 48575, and it doesn't work out quite nicely. So my answer is 220.40, and that's going to be centimeters, and that's to 2 decimal places. Okay, that is us done. So just a reminder when we're doing these questions, always start, write down your formula. Your c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, and then start with your hypotenuse. So whatever your hypotenuse is, sometimes it's going to work out to be x. Your hypotenuse is going to be x, sometimes it's not. So whatever your hypotenuse is, so you can see in this case, the hypotenuse was 240. So 240 squared equals x squared plus 95 squared. If you get this line correct, get this line right, the chances are you will get the rest of this question right. There's nothing overly complicated, but it's just making sure you identify what is the hypotenuse, then the hypotenuse squared is equal to the other side squared plus the other side squared.